Hey, Mark has been doing a lot of editing and he's got a lot of video clips, audio, and graphics and so forth. And all of a sudden, everything turned blank on him on the computer. And he shows us a glimpse here of his project, which has 10 video channels here at least. It looks like you might be able to scroll it up a little further, maybe not. And it looks like it's about 38 minutes long. So goodness gracious, how did he last that long? Let's review this. Okay, so anybody that's been following my channel for any period of time will know that I always come back to hardware, hardware, hardware. It is very easy with Filmora, even though it's considered a beginners or intermediate users video editing program. Is actually very, very powerful, and it can overcome the best of computers. And what happens when something weird effects goes on, you are reaching the limits of your hardware, your computer. Filmora is executing faster than your computer can keep up. And one of those things that really stacks up memory is when you have multiple tracks. And 10 tracks here, that's pretty generous. I'm surprised that he got up to like 38 minutes. He's got 38 minutes of media on the timeline. So obviously he's got a pretty good computer to get that far with this much data on the timeline. But he's got a project. He needs to save it. What can he do? Okay, what he can do is I would recommend cutting it into segments and exporting a segment of the time where it's where everything is still visible. What he's basically done is he's overloaded the memory of his computer. He can go into the task manager. Sorry, I see he's doing this on a Mac. So he would look at the activity monitor and see what are the things that are maxing out. I would bet that his GPU, which is probably and integrated in his M3 or M4 chip, which is pretty robust chip, but still, when you put this much in there, you're going to max that out. So the only way you can get around that with this much material is to segment your project. In other words, make it smaller segments where it doesn't reach that limit where it exceeds the memory. Now, there's ways that you can mark in and out and export that, but in this case, I'm afraid he's already got so much information on the timeline that unless he literally breaks them into separate segments, the computer won't catch up. The other thing that we can see, though, is we see the red line here on the timeline. That means that the media hasn't fully loaded. And most likely, this is what's causing this to go blank on him. If he was to sit here and let it fully render in the preview mode here, then I'm pretty sure that these would come back. But he's going to be struggling with lagging and other issues on a project of this size. So I would strongly recommend cutting it into sections. And I'll list a video in the description of this video that I'm making here of how you can do that. But simply, just to recap it, is one of the simplest ways is to go halfway in, cut the project, and discard everything that's over here to the right, and then export the first half. Use, on a Windows machine, you use Control-Z. I don't know what it is on the Mac, but there is an undo key sequence or key on the Mac as well, and you would just use the undo key in order to bring the back half back. And then you would, while you still have the cut here, you would delete the front half, and that should shift everything over on the timeline to the beginning. and then you do a save, and maybe you call the first one segment 1, you call the second one segment 2. The important thing about while you're doing this, don't save a partial project to your original project name. Otherwise, you're going to have to start working off of a backup. But basically, that way is how you would overcome that. Future planning, I would do things where you got video clips. I would use the Instant Cutter tool to trim out anything that you weren't going to use anyway. I would try to limit where you're going to have these 10 tracks at a time. But you can do this. I mean, you can do up to 100 tracks, and you better have a pretty good computer for that. But just do it in segments. You got a 38-minute project here. You could have made that into 3, 4, 10-minute segments. And once you export a segment, you condense all of the tracks into one track. And we're talking about video and audio. So now there is a lot less processing or rendering going on when you're in the preview mode, but also when you are exporting. That's going to be an issue when he goes to export. So you export it to the best quality that you can so you don't lose anything by bringing it in later. And then once you have all your segments out, you simply start a new project and you import just the segments. And now everything will be on one line, and 30 minutes or 2 hours is not going to be an issue to export or render. And there is no harm in cutting it, because once you stitch them together again, it doesn't matter where you're at. Perhaps maybe not on a transition, but it doesn't matter where you're at on the project. You simply just make your cut, and when it's stitched together, the frames will match up perfectly. Your audio will be perfect. Your video will be perfect. So that's what I would do.